are you getting a general overview with some trends? That's something I think very important and interesting.
We have amazing, we were not expecting to have this response, to be honest. We have amazing hoteliers all around the globe because pretty much nobody has done this before. Everybody's focusing, unless somebody has another hotelier as a friend or is part of like the leading hotels of the world or small luxury hotels of the world, where they get like this kind of meetings or internally with their marketing teams if you have someone in-house. But nobody has come open to share and to discuss these things. And I think there is not a better way to elevate each other is from speaking and talking openly around what's happening. And that came from me loving the industry, even if my background is in technology and I worked a lot with banks and I've done a lot of UX for banks and fintech companies and of course hotels. And
So maybe you can also answer some of my questions because it's the world has so many opportunities today, no? And so every 5 minutes you have new apps and softwares to develop things and to
of
make
course,
life easier. It's always a matter of doing less, no? I think it's not so much about doing less, but I think with the amount of data that we are collecting in these days, I see it, for example, I race triathlons, you have a Garmin on, and for every meter you are doing, you are collecting, I think, about 50 data points, no, for every second, and it's really cool. But then, what you do with it? Are you then going to analyze it? Are you then going to read it? Can you then understand it? I think that's where we are today. Now is that we are collecting, but then we use probably 10% of the value that this information can have. Nowadays, I think most businesses cannot be driven anymore, by gut. In the 80s, not the managers and Italian imprenditori, the head of companies would more decide with the guts or with vision. I think now it's also you surely need some of that approach, but then you need to understand the information, the market, because it's so risky to make mistakes nowadays. And
of
it does
course.
help to know what you're doing, but then can you analyze it? Can you use it? I think AI today is I was listening to an advertising on the radio last week, and they were talking about the air conditioning system now has AI because it knows the temperature that you want. And it's like, that's not AI. That's just you're putting your temperature on your remote control. No, so everybody is using AI as a word because it's cool, no, but not
Of course.
necessarily it is actually what it is.
There's a plethora of tools nowadays because there's also a lot of white labeling of a tool, and it's so easy now. The codes are more open; people can just create codes easier. But it's also how can and what its business need. What do you need as a business? Where do you apply the AI? Where do you keep the human to human? It's a fine balance that has to be in harmony in order to bring the results. And exactly as you mentioned, you get all this data. A lot of the teams that don't even know how to use the data. They don't know how to interpret the data and scale the businesses, which is a big thing, comes with a little bit of experience and not monovision of things, just tech. It has to be, at least for the industry that you are, which the human to human is very important. In the operations,
For sure,
AI is amazing,
for sure.
but it's that fine balance, as you just mentioned.
No, I think once probably what is it? Not so long ago, a year and a half, maybe two, everybody started talking about AI, and everybody was sort of like nervous about, okay, it's going to send a lot of jobs out of business. I think there are some jobs that go out of business. I
Of
also have the
course.
opportunity, I used to race off-road motorbikes. I do test some off-road motorbikes for this Italian website, and the things that I used to do before, like I had to do the video, then I have to talk in the video, then I have to get my article, I have to write my article. Nowadays I can just get everything from the video translated into an article. I'm not stealing copyright from anybody else. I'm not writing with AI, but I'm using AI to develop what I actually said on the video. So things that maybe would take me 3 or 4 hours now would take me 2 hours, an hour and a half. So then that's really useful. On the other side, luckily, we are in the hospitality industries. For sure, a robot or a computer is not going to replace the human being. We, of course, are also in a national monument and an ancient castle. So you are looking for that human touch, for that human approach. But if you can sort of back office, have the power of using the information, the data, and use this information, you can be a lot more tailor-made, no? Because if you are sort of a 3-room bed and breakfast, you probably remember all the names of your guests, and so you're the AI basically. No, you're your CRM. You remember everything. We already have 46 rooms. We have about 100 weddings per year. So you don't want to be too industrialized, because you want to be really tailor-made. But if you have a backup with a system, a software that helps you remember things and do things, and you can that helps you to be organized and to be more personal. No, it's not unpersonal, it becomes more personal because you're using it. It depends how you use it at the end of the day.
Of course. And if we dive a little bit deeper, how do you see AI enhancing, except from that personalization and that bespoke experience that you want to craft for your individual, rather than replacing the human touch, you said, just in guest interactions?
I would enhance a lot, I think, because I think that what we define luxury, I think it's very unique, because you can define luxury your way, I can define it my way. It's not an objective approach, it's very subjective, no? For some people, it could be time, for something, I think it's really personal. But if you can in some way sort of pre-understand who you have in front, and all the information is out there today, and you can sort of summarize it up, you can really probably most of the time anticipate what your customer needs are, what your guest needs are, no? Because we do it at today sort of manually. If you have some I wouldn't call them VIP, but sort of like public figures. I mean, there is everything on the web. No, you can go and look and what they're doing, what they like, what they don't like. So you can sort of create a guest profile before they actually come into the house, and you can use that to help you develop the best possible service. If not, I would imagine a future where you sort of, when you have your booking systems and you have your rooms, and then you go into the guest profile, and sort of the AI has already some sort of background information of your guests, automatically I think you could be really close up, anticipate any needs, any special requests without people asking. And I think that at the end of the day is what luxury is, no? Is being able to deliver something exceptional without people asking. That would be, I think, very helpful. What I see at the moment is there's a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion. There is probably some industries have already sort of figured out a way to sort of organize the flow. I am actually seeking to change our sort of internal PMS system. And my main goal is to figure out which is the best one that can then integrate with all these different options that you have in the market now. Because maybe 10 years ago, you could have like one big supplier that was good at doing the whole lot. I think nowadays it's so specific that you need to get like 10 different softwares, and they need to integrate one with each other, pass the information, and then you can get the best out of it. But there's so many things that are coming out, they're changing, and it's really hard to sort of say, okay, go this way. And then like in 6 months' time, oh no, that was the better, that was the other, that was the better. But you can't sort of change like your internal system every 6 months, though.
It's just crafting a very crystal clear strategy, which starts also from marketing. I don't know if you're doing marketing in-house or if you're sourcing marketing from an agency. Both things have like kind of they're challenging sometimes. And for the hoteliers internally, sometimes we find that some teams might have a limitation. Sometimes it's very common that they do sales and marketing together, which is sometimes it's too much. So one or the other is going to be not 100% of their energy and focus, or their expertise, or their experience is not so in depth, where everything is like AI can support
What happens is
a lot.
I call it sort of closing the ring, no? Because, for example, we do have internal parts of it. We do have, for what would be the website, the digital marketing. This is done by an external company, but they are mostly focused on what the website is doing, what sort of the ad campaigns are doing. But then not everybody, and it's not easy to sort of close a circle with what your actually booking engine is doing. That it's normally another supplier. But at the end of the day, it's only going to work. The marketing is only going to work if you get more bookings, no? So what you would need is to be able to integrate these two sort of worlds, and sort of have a an ROI or a KPI that would give you the information is what I'm doing is actually working or not working, but they tend to sort of drive on similar lines but never connecting. And when you ask one or the other how to connect it, at the end of the day it goes down to the Excel file. And nowadays I find it really, really stupid, because in 2026 with all 2025, sorry, with all these possible opportunities, why can't I get the things working together? And probably someone has done it, but I think if someone would come out with a with a suite, even if you talk with the big companies. I've been speaking last year. I was speaking with the Opera World. It's one of sort of the leaders in hotel management systems. They go to a certain point, but they don't close the circle. And they do offer, many of them now offer all possible integrations, but there's no one that actually builds a structure that can say from A to Z, you're covered. No, it's all a matter of, for sure, finding the best possible way for you. But I think for small hotels, if you have a general idea how to start, then you can develop it after. But there's no such thing at the moment.
And everything starts like, of course, there is an opportunity of AI at the moment, but there are also the risks that we're just about to talk about, how the not knowing which tool to use, when to use it, how to get the data, how to use it, how to scale your business. What are you using at the moment? Do you use AI in your business? Do you use for your operations, or you haven't started yet?
We do. I think a very small amount of what we could do. To be honest, the first approach was about, like I said, about a year ago, a year and a half ago, maybe. We started using it for managing all the online reputation. So, looking after what would be all the connection with guests, answering reviews and stuff like that. Because not that it does it for you, but when you have maybe like 10, 15 reviews to answer every day, and I have this approach that you don't only answer the bad reviews. Like, so you said a bad thing, so I need to answer. Well, who says a good thing? It's fine, no? So we answer everybody, and we answer to everybody. But you sort of end up, your fantasy ends up at a certain point, no? And so that's again maybe a thing that maybe it would take an hour in the morning. Now it would maybe take 20 minutes, because it does suggest some answers. You can put them in. You can decide if you want to change them or not. But it's 20 minutes instead of an hour a day. That helps quite a lot in optimizing time. And then we moved on to integrating all what is the what we use, Google Works as a sort of an infrastructure for sort of the email, the drive, and all that sort of stuff. Google started integrating Gemini in Italy. I think it's about 6-7 months, not before that, because it needed, of course, to be in Italian. That helps a lot, sort of summarizing some information. Like, for example, I use it a lot for what is the technical needs for, like, the licenses and the fire guys and all. You get these 80-90 sheets of pages, and you say, okay, I don't want to spend 2 days reading it. Can you give me the 10 bullet points of what I need to do? And that also sort of can get quite a lot of time management advantage for so at the moment, I think it is helping a lot more on the time management. That then is, of course, you can then again divert what is your extra time to the guests, so you don't have to sit so much time in the office, but you then can spend more time with the guests, or going and talking to them at breakfast. You're more in front of the house, not having to run after all these things. Also, I think with the staff communication, it's working quite well. We've using this system of also, those calendar management systems. That's where we're really working quite well. And what I wanted to do is to figure out a way then to be able to use one of the agents, to create an agent to start, feeding him all the information of the last 10 years, and trying to, if it's, I've seen some good activities working where you have a chatbot or an online answer that not for specific needs, but for general information. I mean, the usual FAQ questions, 99% of the time they're always the same. Like, do you have a pool? Do you have a parking space? Do you have what's and what's? Why not? For our sector, I think it's really important that there is no impersonification. I mean, it doesn't have to sound a robot, because I've also seen some tests of phone calls, and those are getting really good. The AI phone calls, they're getting really good, really fast. But I think for those general inquiries, I think you could actually scale it and get some information out and not lose time running after emails or stuff like that. But focusing on your guests when they're actually here. I think that could
Of course, and
give
for
you
this,
more time to be more human. I don't know if I get the idea.
and of course, who is serving who? My experience is more in user experience design and human-centered design and the human-computer interaction and emotional design, diving a little bit deeper in creating customer journeys or guest journeys in hospitality and in other kind of, as you mentioned earlier, that journey just it works as a filter. And in five-star luxury hotel where it's your personas, your clients are very specific, pretty much you know who you want to attract, who you have been attracting in. It helps the staff to filter the first two, but definitely doesn't have to feel cold or automated because this is the opposite of what you want to do.
Exactly. Like
Helps the
for example,
connection.
yeah, there is all the automatic online check-in and all that sort of stuff. That's not something I'd like to follow, no, because that
Of
is
course.
automating and saying you are not important for me, just do it your own. And I don't even want to. I don't have the time to put your information in the computer. That's not the information we want to give. No, it's exactly the opposite. But where you can optimize without it being too much in the way, very sort of subtle and useful. I think that's the goal that we have to go looking for.
Of course, that's why UX is very important. It's that seamless experience that you give to the user. It doesn't even understand that it's there, but it's there to support him through the journey. And if you design it correctly where you want this to lead, it's amazing and it brings results. It's these practices that we want, and that's why we started this community that we've been using for very big companies. And it's nice to be exposed because all the big
For sure.
companies are using this kind of practices as UX. Yeah,
And then again, you were saying for the big companies, yeah, something I wanted to add is the fact that normally this kind of detail, this kind of software is normally only for the big chains because it's a lot of money you have to put into it. While today, I think it's really approachable also to small independent hotels because they've really taken it down to really simple stuff. And if you want whatever your own app, your own this, I mean, it's not something that you have to go and spend thousands and thousands of euros. You can really get it. For sure, it won't be to the level of what sort of a big, huge company will do it, but you can get a lot out of it. Yeah.
of course, because they used to be to be six digits, like to actually from iteration, from starting and testing research and all the double diamond approach of design that we're using. But it's let's talk a little bit about the property. We haven't spoken about your property. Would you like to share with us the story, how you got involved? I know it's your surname, right?
It's a family property, so and speaking out of Castello Dal Pozzo. It's a family castle. It's always been in the family. It was actually the first time. I mean, it was built in year 1000, and it was sort of the base of the fifth Roman legion on Lake Maggiore. That's why then also the village where we are is Oleggio Castello because it was Villaggio, so number five in Roman. Then it became Fuleggio, Oleggio, and that's how sort of the name of the village came from the castle. Then my great grandfather was really passionate about this English style, the sort of neo-gothic arts and crafts style, sort of the late 1800s, and he refurbished all the property according to this English style. So it's quite unique because it basically to make it simple, it's a Harry Potter castle on Italian grounds, no? So it's the only Harry Potter castle in Italy that you can find. So architecturally, it's quite unique. It's perfect, like I would say, for weddings and that kind of sort of romantic approach to your holiday or your sort of hideaway. Then what happened was my parents had a big tour operator for outgoing, so Australia, Maldives, sort of 1980, 1990. Then I have a younger sister. She's six years younger than me. When she was born, we moved out here in the village from Milan, and we started staying here permanently at the castle. And they figured out, it was like many things when you abandon them, they sort of tend to run down. And so the plan was to give it a life. So we started renting it in 1997 for weddings and events with external caterings, just as a venue. Then we made the 8 rooms in the castle. Then we built a building next door where we have this 5-star hotel infrastructure. Then we built the stables, the pools. So it's we call it the Fabbrica del Duomo because it's a never-ending story, no? But it it's the nice thing is to be able to give it a sort of a second life. And when you have people running around, like today and tomorrow we have a big wedding from Switzerland, and you have we are as a background of nice moments and memories of families and couples and people. So it's nice to feel that way. Then again, you're the background. You have to deliver service, you have to deliver sunset, and the place has to be nice and everything, but you are part of some nice memories. I think that's very unique to be part of it.
To be part of the celebration, of course.
So definitely a long way from what technology is today. So I'm actually quite fond of technology because I think if it used in a certain way, it's very useful. I do sometimes live this contrast because you are a very authentic a historical property where sort of time stops, while on the other side everybody wants the 100 giga internet connection. If not, it's an old place and there's nothing works. But of course, the contrast is also a positive approach, no? Because nowadays it has to be historical, but you need to have the big screens, the flat TVs, the air conditioning, the high speed internet, but they have to be hidden. No, they have to be in the background. They're there, but you don't know they're there. And I think that has to be the approach also with the AI. It has to be there. It's useful, but you don't need to see it.
It's a tool for your team internally to grow and to have a predictable system that it's a growth partner, artificial intelligence for most of the businesses. That's why as long as someone knows how to use it and or even knows how to consult with the founders, with the hoteliers and has done it before, that's where the big difference, that's the difference. The most important thing I was thinking is like for events is a big part of your business as well, right? You mentioned.
Yes, for sure.
How about wellness? Is wellness a thing like beyond spa, or where are you there?
Wellness is for sure a segment that we need to develop. It's part of the development plan. We are still lacking sort of on I would call it the hardware, so the infrastructure, like the spa sections, the spa areas, actually, because of what I consider nowadays, it's so specific that I think it would be best to find a partner that knows how to do it. Some hoteliers tend to sort of do the spa area as a sort of an extra for the room. I think nowadays a spa area or wellness area, or now we're going beyond. We're talking about longevity, all that sort of stuff. I think to make it a unique selling point, it needs to be done by a professional. So actually we've been waiting on developing that part because it would be nice to be able to find a partner to work with that knows what he's doing, because it is in the hospitality segment, but I think it's completely a different segment. It's like I sort of produce steel bars, and I make cars, and so I can do planes. Nah, it's not the same thing. It's still metal, but it's, you know what I mean, it's completely different world. Then something I also wanted to add before is with this AI, I do find, you have the first adopters, you have the people who are very enthusiastic, or people saying, I don't use it, I don't need it, but it's not something I think today that you can choose to use or not. Was some time ago, I remember when all the big TripAdvisor and stuff like came out, with the online reviews, people were saying, oh, I don't care about that, I don't listen to it, I don't look at them. But it's not something that you can choose to do or not do. I think that you have to do anyway in a certain way, because if not, it's gonna roll over you. And it's a big industrial revolution. I would say the size of when internet came into business, maybe even more, because internet, you could preview it. I think now with this AI, I think with the speed it has and with this supremacy game, I think that the US is doing with China, who's getting there first. They're not even looking too much at what they're doing. And this could be also a problem because they're not sort of analyzing what could be the outcome, positive outcome, but also for sure negative outcome. No, I went to this conference, I think it was about a month ago, and they were talking about, safe words. to start using between relatives, because I mean, tomorrow I could send you a WhatsApp vocal message and you telling me to go and, I don't know, sell the car because whatever, and how can I know it's you or not? No.
And the same thing is happening also with all this, the influencers that they are fading out. It's been like a couple of years that we've seen that, because the individual that comes in a hotel and wants to kind of share this experience has lost its value. It's not truthful anymore because the individual is not truthful to their own profile, who they are, where they belong, why they are doing that. And it's not just to experience the 5-star luxury hotels. And I've been involved in companies that they have more than like 20 properties of a certain level. And we've broken down that uh, being truthful, and that starts also with the branding of the property, who they really are, having clarity who they are, and then understanding really well who do they want to sell to. Of course, this sounds very simple, but we don't see that still for a lot of properties, because the first thing the user is going to do, they will check the social media. It's like a normal thing that they will do. Of course, a lot of the hoteliers now, their social media presence, it doesn't align with the presence they have on the website. So there is a big gap.
Yeah.
So there are these gaps that, and definitely now the influencers are virtual. They're not even real people. You can create these people and put them in a different environment.
So you
An
think
illusion.
for this reason, because to be honest, we are not good at our social media communication at the moment. It could be a lot better, but like you're saying now, do you think that given that it's easy to have your AI agent deal with your social media information, do you think then that the social media will become less authentic and so less followed?
It's going to, I think there is so much information for the user that it's not even necessary. The users are overwhelmed with all this information, scrolling without a purpose. But whoever is going to dive deeper and deeper into understanding the emotions and the core, the heart of their personas, they can create campaigns that they relate with them, so they will get more leads. And this is how it's going to work. The content that has to, I always say that and there are a lot of tools that an AI can help a lot with marketing to create a campaign that is going to reflect the soul of the property. This is what the user is not going to click more if they're going to see more hotels, more rooms, more. It's the food, it's the story behind, it's the heart, it's more emotional design that needs to happen in this kind of industry more than any other industry. We've humanized technology for banks a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
We've broken down fraud preventions, and we've done a lot of things. Or now, with cryptocurrencies and all these things, which I know in Italy is not very open, how we can simplify information for the user, that's user experience. But always we keep in mind that we design for the human. And the only thing that we can kind of trigger, I'm talking about ethical use of technology always, not manipulating the
Yeah.
user, of course. It's triggers some emotions that the user is going to feel being present in the property. That's what we're trying to replicate. But it's interesting where we're going with social media as well. And I think whoever is going to have a stable team to create sometimes static videos, and I had that conversation earlier with someone actually from Firenze,
Mhm.
that they're doing a beautiful work for luxury hotels around Italy, and being authentic. These are the people that they will do really well. That
Yeah,
authenticity, elevated though, yeah.
we were at we are part of the preferred hotel and resorts sort of brand, and every year there is this annual conference. It's mostly part of you have some industry understanding, you have some key speakers. It's always interesting to participate, what the industry is going and what they're doing. Like you were saying before, big corporation have a general overview because we are 650 hotels, so they have a general idea. And one of the things that they were saying, especially in luxury, that there's this trend of they call it Beigeification. So everything is going beige. So all the hotels tend to sort of align up in all the parts of the world, and they tend to be the same. And so the actual, I wouldn't call him luxury traveler, but the sort of the discernment traveler is actually looking for authenticity and something that cannot be easily replicated. Of course, this resonates very well with us.
Of course.
I will take it as my point of view for the future because it works good with us. But it is actually, it's not something that you can copy. I mean, you can copy, but it won't be authentic. It will be a copy. So something that maybe from some points of view, of course, we have some handicaps for standard reasons because we are a castle and we cannot have some things that maybe a new hotel just built can have. Then is actually not a down point, but is actually something a plus. No,
Yes, of
so
course.
sometimes some services or some hardware that you can't have is actually a plus than a minus. It depends how you're telling the story, basically.
And the story and how you're going to inspire the user to take action and make that booking, because we've discussed a lot the why the user, if money is not an issue, and that's where the 5-star luxury hotels are standing, that you are speaking to users that money is not an issue, or there is an occasion like a wedding that money, even there, it's not an issue. So these people that they are not dollars conscious. I'm in Australia at the moment, that's why I say dollars.
Yeah.
It's a different approach. So it's a very different approach to get them. And happily nowadays with AI, there are even different channels that in social media that we can use. Definitely TikTok. I always used to say that I have nothing against it, but for different brands, different channels, you cannot go with the current as everybody's going everywhere. And so there are LinkedIn's, there
Because
are
I
lead
think at the end of the
generation
day,
systems.
you create confusion. You create
Of course.
confusion because it's not just a matter of what you're saying, it's where you're saying it and how you're saying it, basically. And you were talking about these creating emotions. I think that nowadays, really, maybe 1 out of 100 advertising can really get to the heart. Then, of course, maybe they get to my heart because they have some relation to me and they don't get to yours or vice versa, no? And there was this one, I don't know if you've seen it or if it's all over the world. I think it was Nike or something like that. There's this old man that sort of gets up every morning and goes into the shed outside, and it's in the snow, and he's lifting this kettlebell every day, and the wife is looking at him through the windows, and what is he doing? And then Christmas Day comes, and he goes to the sort of his sons and the nipoti nephews
Nephews.
house, okay, and he's got this present, and in the box there is the star of the Christmas tree, no, and so he picks up his nephew, and that is 3 4 years old, and everybody's looking at him really scared because he's an old man and he can't lift his nephew up, but he's been training for like 6 months, so he can just do that lift. So he can put the nephew up at the top, and she can put the star on the Christmas tree. And I think that was just it's magic. I relate to that so easy, and but it really creates an emotion, and you go out and buy the thing the next day, you know.
Of course, and it's not manipulating the user, because a lot of big companies they do that and they drive millions and millions, and a lot of social media platforms they use the data of the users. As we all know, we're not going to in a way that it makes their machines we call the robots and stuff smarter for the individual in order to sell them more products or to kind of guide the user, and it's interesting. But nowadays, like definitely there are like smart AI, we call it behavior based like systems that deepen guest loyalty. That's very important, and boost direct bookings like that we've done in the past. And it's the most important thing, as you mentioned earlier, is to free time from your staff so they can focus on what really matters. Yeah. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah, there's so many stupid tasks that can be done automatically.
Yeah.
And then again, if it's done by computer, not that I don't trust humans, but humans can be distracted for for whatever reason. No, while if you're doing sort of like, I don't know, payment tasks or whatever task, and they automate, it's going to work. There's no problem about it. So you're not wasting stupid time for that person, and you're probably getting less mistakes out of it. No, and you can concentrate and then looking after that guest and dedicating a lot more time to it. So I'm actually positive. Maybe for some, like I was saying, for some businesses, for some industries, Like, for example, I think journalism with AI, that's hard work, no, because it does take away a lot of things. Because if you just need to sort of talk about what happened yesterday on the highway or whatever, I mean, that you don't need a person in some way anymore. Maybe if you want to write a book, then you need a person because it has to, you have to create the imagination, the interpretation. But if it's just facts, a computer can do it probably a lot better and a lot faster. But with the human, given that then everybody is so hit by all this information every single day, when they come here, I see them sort of getting in the door and they just want to sort of, okay, talk to a human, or maybe not use the computer. I was at a place in Bolzano a couple of years ago, and I found it really, really nice because he had this sort of this ritual where really small lodge, sort of like a 12 room, not even a hotel, sort of like a private home. Okay. And he had this ritual where when you arrive, you have this velvet box, and he asks you to put the computer and your phone in there, and then he closes this away. No, he gives you these red slippers, so you sort of you exit your car, you enter the house, and you have this ritual sort of turning off. Then, of course, if you need your phone, he'll give it back to you. But the idea is not to give it to you, and it makes you feel free. Of course, you have this lack of phone in your hand. You're like you don't have your dose of drugs for the first 6 or 10 hours, and you go crazy, and then it's like, it's not that bad. I can actually live with this. No.
All these things are designed to be addictive, including social media, and
Oh
that's
yes, it's designed to be addictive. Yeah. Yeah, I think we are lucky. I don't want to be. I don't want to say something wrong, but we sort of are the same generation, me and you, and I think we are lucky to have lived with a little foot on what was before. No, I mean, I remember I got my first phone. You had the SMS, so we know what there was before. We know this what we have now, and I have a 4-year-old daughter, and she has no idea what I mean. It's always been like this. No, I mean, so I don't know when she will be grown up, what how she will relate, and what there will be actually. Sometimes to be honest, I would do expect and hope maybe in some dream that might be a huge sort of data breach where everybody will decide to close all the social media down because it's become impossible, and maybe in 10 years time, so we don't have to face that problem anymore. But from that point of view, I think that you tend to live in this sort of virtuality, not reality, as a person. And I think that's very, very dangerous. The only way to get out of it, maybe just to have enough self-confidence to always remember what is reality is and what is not. I don't know if you remember that film. It was called with Leonardo DiCaprio, Inception. And and when he goes in the dreams, and he goes in the dreams, but he has this everybody has their own little thing to figure out if they're actually in the real world or they're not. I think it's going to mix up so much that you really need to remember where you are. No, that's the dangerous part of it, for sure. And basically, the minimum denominator is, in fact, what is happening with the AI. So you have a sort of a multi industrial company overview of what is happening, basically. Yeah, yeah, okay. Nicolene, yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Nikhil. To be honest, this chat was more than enough, because it's always interesting to be able to speak to someone that knows what you're talking about and has some ideas. Because I mean, like you were saying, talking with different people, you understand better, no? Because you get some information there, some information there. Then you make your own idea, but you do it not just based on nothing, or then again on social media, but from some other people's ideas. Now you put them all together, and then you come out with a sort of your personal idea. So no, it's been very interesting. And so thank you very much for the opportunity. And if you do happen, maybe because you're exactly on the other side of the world at the moment, but if you do happen to come to Italy, we are really close to Malpensa Airport. So please drop in a message, and I'd happy, really nice to meet you in person and maybe show you around. And okay. Thank you, Nicolina. Bye bye.